lessons in Daniel. So, we'll kind of intersperse the reading of the book with the lessons. It seems to be working out pretty well for the way Daniel is set up. So, this chapter really does set the stage for the last two chapters. Daniel starts having a vision in this chapter, and he says, hey, I understand this vision. The next two chapters kind of reveal what that vision is and how it plays out. This one's sometime around 536 BC. It says it's the third year of Cyrus. The Babylonians were conquered in 539, so that would put this somewhere around that 536 time frame. We've seen Daniel go through a lot in his life, and now he's an old man. He's going to be 80, 83, 84 years old. Some of you might be able to relate to that. I don't think I can yet. But he's not a spring chicken anymore. He's been around for a while. And in this one, he's going to receive a messenger, and we're going to see that messenger having struggles of his own. The messenger is sent and tells Daniel, hey, I was held up for a little while, and here's why I was held up, and here's how I got out of it. And so that's kind of interesting as well. Later, it's going to talk about the latter days. Many people think of the latter days as the end times, the quote, end times, the end of the world. Really, the latter days here is towards the end of the Old Testament period and into the Intertestament period. It's really talking about the end days of the Jewish nation, or the Judah as a nation, going into Rome. Okay, so we're going to start in verse 2 and go to verses 2 and 3. In those days, I, Daniel, was mourning for 3 weeks. I ate no delicacies, no meat or wine entered my mouth, nor did I anoint myself at all for those 3 weeks. So here's Daniel. Once again, remember a couple weeks ago, he was offering prayers for his sins and the sins of the nation. And here he's again mourning for some period of time. And it's not just I'm sorrowful, but he's fasting. He says he's not eating anything, no meats, no delicacies. Some versions say tasty foods. Have we heard that kind of language in the book of Daniel before? About not eating delicacies or maybe tasty food or the king's choice food? Daniel 1 first came in. The very first chapter, he and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego refused to eat the king's choice foods. And instead they were fed vegetables and water. Likely this is what he's doing here as well. That he said he wasn't eating any choice foods, doesn't say he was on a complete fast. He just wasn't eating certain things. So he's probably eating vegetables and drinking water again here. I just kind of get an impression this might have been something he did regularly throughout his life. So he's doing it again now, and he's doing it for a period of 3 weeks. That's going to become important in a couple different places here. Why was he mourning? Anybody have any ideas why he might have been mourning? The Bible doesn't say one way or another why he could have been mourning. He could have been mourning because of sin. He could have been mourning anything. But it's also possible that he could have been mourning just some of the reports they had gotten back from Jerusalem and the opposition of rebuilding the temple. But we don't know why he was mourning. But I don't think it's really important that we know specifically why. What's important is we know that he's in a spot right now where he's mourning. He's not in a joyful mood. He's somber. And so he really is, he's really humbled himself down, and he's not in a joyous attitude right now. Okay, so verse 4. On the 24th day of the first month, as I was standing on the bank of the great river, that is the Tigris. We're going to stop right there for a minute. What month is this? The first month. What day? The 24th day. So let's go 3 weeks back. What would be 3 weeks back from the 24th? Be the 3rd? So from the 3rd of their first month to the 24th of their first month, he's mourning. Was there any event that happened in the first month of the Jewish calendar that was a time of celebration? Exodus 12, verses 1 through 6 tells us that there was a time where God said, this will be your first month. And on the 10th day of this first month, you're to take a goat or a lamb and care for it until the 14th day of the month, at which point you kill it. We know that time as the sacrifice. That's the Passover. The Passover is a very joyous and celebratory time for the Jewish people. It was then, it is now. Does the 3rd of the first month to the 24th of the first month span over that period of celebration? Yes, it does. So at a time when the Jews were being celebratory, they were celebrating freedom from Egypt and freedom from slavery. Daniel is in a time of mourning. He's sorrowful. He's fasting. While everyone else is having this feast, Daniel's not feasting, he's fasting. While they're celebrating, he's mourning. I thought that was interesting, that Daniel, at this point, he's connected enough with something going on, that he's in a state of, hey, I know this is a joyous time of the year, but I'm not celebrating. I'm in an attitude where I'm fasting, I'm mourning, I'm focused on prayer, I'm humbling myself to God, rather than the celebrations that everyone else is going through. So I thought that was interesting that this period of time passes right through the Passover. Okay, so let's go to verse 5 through 7. I lifted up my eyes and looked, and behold, a man clothed in linen with a belt of fine gold from Uphaz around his waist. His body was like beryl, his face like the appearance of lightning, his eyes like flaming torches, his arms and legs like the gleam of burnished bronze, and the sound of his words like the sound of a multitude. How would you like to see that image? You look up and what does that look like to you? That looks pretty striking, doesn't it? That's quite a light. Eyes like flaming torches. You see his eyes just bold, fire coming out of his eyes, and arms and legs like bronze, and the sound of his words, his voice like multitudes. We see something like that elsewhere in the Bible too, right? We see that in Revelation. When John sees Jesus, we see a very similar description of what Jesus looks like in Revelation. Now, I don't know if this was Jesus here or not. I would say probably not, for a couple of reasons. But there are many people who say this was a pre-incarnate vision of Jesus as well. So there's other places where people have said that too. The fiery furnace, the lion's den, people have said, Jesus was in those places. Whether he was or not, I don't know. The text seems to indicate probably not in the other cases. Here it's a little more nuanced. Could it be Jesus or God himself in the flesh, or not in the flesh, but in this vision? Possible. But I don't know if it's necessarily accurate to say definitively it is or isn't Jesus here. But there are a lot of similarities. They both have a golden belt. They both have a shining face. Their eyes are fire. Their feet are brass. And both John and Daniel have a similar response when they see this person. They both lose all their strength and they go to the ground. But here's the difference. What happens when Jesus touches John in Revelation? Jesus tells John, fear not. When Daniel is touched here, what's he told? Get up. Very different. Jesus does not tell people to get up. He lets them remain in a worshipy type position. Angels, when men fall in front of angels, what do the angels tell the men to do? They tell them, get up. And that's what this angel does a little bit further down, or this person does. So Daniel sees this vision. He sees a heavenly man. And when he sees it, he becomes like a dead man, no strength. It says he fell fast asleep, or deep into a deep sleep a little bit later. It's intimidating. It's when you see something like this seems to be a pretty common way people deal with that, is they don't look at this majestic being and say, wow. They, over and over again in the Bible, you see people, when they see something like this, they immediately fall to the ground. Okay, let's go on to verse 7. And I, Daniel, alone saw the vision, for the men who were with me did not see the vision. But a great trembling came upon them, and they fled to hide themselves. So I was left alone and saw this great vision, and no strength was left in me. My radiant appearance was fearfully changed, and I retained no strength. Then I heard the sound of his words, and as I heard the sound of his words, I fell on my face in a deep sleep, with my face to the ground. So Daniel hears this or sees this vision, and who's with him? Nobody's with him. And why is nobody with him? They were afraid and left. They apparently didn't see anything, but they were just filled with this great dread. And they bolted. And so imagine, Daniel and his companions are walking along the Tigris. So they're not in Babylon. They're out towards the border of Media and Persia and Babylon. They're walking along, and all of a sudden, where'd everybody go? When Paul had his vision in Acts 9, nobody saw that vision either, right? They heard it, but they didn't understand it. Here, Daniel's left alone, and he's the only one that sees or hears anything. And when he hears it, he goes into a deep sleep. This deep sleep is similar to the sleep he had in Acts 8 when Gabriel came to him. It's also a similar word to what was used in Genesis 2 when God put Adam into a deep sleep to take the rib out of to make Eve. So this isn't just I'm going to take a cat nap. He's done. He is essentially unconscious at this point. Okay, shall we continue? How about we go to verse number 10, 10 through 14. And behold, a hand touched me and set me trembling on my hands and knees. And he said to me, O Daniel, man greatly loved, understand the words that I speak to you and stand upright, for now I have been sent to you. And when he had spoken this word to me, I stood up trembling. Then he said to me, fear not, Daniel, for from the first day that you set your heart to understand and humbled yourself before your God, your words have been heard, and I have come because of your words. The prince of the kingdom of Persia withstood me thought we had enough battery to get through this class, but I guess not. So let's see, where were we? See, now I lost my train of thought.
You were just saying everybody left.
Yeah, so everybody left him, and now he's faced alone with this angel. Now, in the first thing that we see here is this angel or something, some hand touches him. Now, it doesn't specifically say it's the same being that he saw with the fiery eyes and the hands and feet of bronze. It doesn't say it specifically, but a hand touches Daniel and tells him to get up. That's something that that doesn't happen with when Jesus touches you. When Jesus would touch them, he wouldn't tell them, get up. But we see the angel in Revelation 20:21 tells John, I'm just a worker like you, stand up. Gabriel in chapter 8 gets Daniel to get up. Angels tell people, get up. Jesus tells them you can stay in a worship position. So that's the first case I think we can make to say, this is probably not Jesus he saw, it's probably just an angel that's got a very magnificent appearance. Let's see, were we reading the first verses still? No, I think we got through it. Okay, so when men see angels scare men, but they don't accept the worship that Jesus does. The next thing we see is the man says he's been sent. Would Jesus need to be sent, or would Jesus be able to just go freely? I think Jesus could go freely. And this man is told, he's being told, go. So, we have him being touched and being told, stand up, and he's being told, I was sent to you. Both of which are indications of a very powerful being, but not necessarily Jesus. He says that you are greatly loved. Isn't that what Gabriel told him too? Was it chapter 9, chapter 8, one of those two? Gabriel told Daniel, you are greatly loved. So it's being reflected back to him again now. He's being reminded, Daniel, you are greatly loved. I think that's kind of cool. He's been told before, God loves you. And here he's being told again, God loves you. What a fantastic thing to hear and to be reminded of a second time. And so now he's being comforted by this being. And he's being complimented for humbling himself during this time of feasting. And while the people are celebrating, he's been focused on being humble and being worshiping God and in a mournful state. Okay, next the messenger also tells him, he's giving him this revelation because of his heart and his humility before God. So he's being told why he's having this vision and why he's going to have this message given to him. It's because of his humility and because of his heart. He also said that I started coming to you on the very first day, but the prince of Persia, the prince of the kingdom of Persia, withheld me or fought against me while I was coming to you, so I was delayed. What did we see in the last chapter? While he was praying, Gabriel came to him while he was still speaking, right? And even gave the time of day during the time of the evening sacrifice. What happened here? Daniel is praying. What's the message? I started coming to you that very time. While you were praying, I started coming to you. God answers prayer. He was delayed this time, which is the next reason why this is probably not Jesus. Would Jesus be delayed by anybody? Jesus would just say, you go over there, I'm going this way. Right? Jesus wouldn't have been delayed. Jesus would have been powerful. Jesus would have said, I am who I am, and I am going to Daniel now. You are not staying in my way. But he was detained by the prince of Persia. And he had been fasting for 3 weeks, and it took how many weeks for the being to get to him? 3 weeks. So had the being gotten to him at the right time, Daniel would have celebrated Passover with the rest of the Jews. So he came this time to give him the answer, and to give him this vision, but he was delayed until Michael was able to intervene and help this angel pass the prince of Persia. Would Jesus have needed the help of an angel, an archangel, Michael, to defeat or get past the prince of Persia? I don't think he would have. So there's a lot of reasons why I think that the angel we see, or the being we see in this passage, is an angel and not the Son of God. Anyone have any thoughts about that? Okay. So the angel reveals that this is going to happen in the later days, or latter days. Some people try to use this to say, well, this is an event that's still coming because it's in the latter days, and they think of latter being past our time. Really, it's past Daniel's time. It's going to be later in Jewish history, likely the events that have already occurred in our history. Excuse me. If we look at what happens in the next couple chapters, remember earlier I said that this chapter kind of sets up the next two chapters. What we see in the next two chapters has already occurred. We see the Greek wars. We see the wars between the king of the south, king of the north. We see Antiochus Epiphanes and the trials of the Jews during the intertestamental period. All of this stuff has already taken place. So I don't think there's any end times as we would think of end times messages in here. The messages here really were end times for the Jewish people and the tribulations and trials they were about to have come their way. Any thoughts on that? Y'all are a quiet bunch today. All right, let's keep going. Verse 15 through 19. When he had spoken to me about these words, I turned my face toward the ground and was mute. And behold, one in the likeness of the children of man touched my lips. I opened my mouth and spoke. And I said to him who stood before me, O my Lord, by reason of the vision, pains have come upon me, and I have no strength. How could my Lord's servant talk with my Lord? For now no strength remains in me, and no breath is left in me. Again, I have the appearance of man. Again, one having the appearance of a man touched me and strengthened me. And he said, O man greatly loved, fear not, and peace be with you. Be strong and be strong and of great courage. As he spoke to me, I was strengthened, and said, Let my Lord speak, for you have strengthened me. So once again, Daniel is in a weakened state, and he's speechless. Earlier, he was touched by an angel, and the angel told him, stand up. Now he's touched by an angel again. And this one in likeness of the children of men. When I first read that, I read it as in the form of children. I'm like, in the form of children, what does that mean? It reminded me of a time years ago. I was working at IBM, and they had Bring Your Children to Work Day. And I had been working a lot several weeks before that, 65, 70-hour weeks for, 7, 8 weeks. So I was pretty tired. And when I read it, instead of reading children, I read chickens. And so I read Bring Your Chickens to Work Day. And I read it several times, bring your chickens to work. And misread it several times. I finally printed it out and took it to someone and said, why are we bringing our chickens to work? They pointed out my error. I kind of had the same thing here. I read this 10 times. Like, bring your likeness of children. I'm like, children? And so my mind starts going towards, Jesus with the little children coming to him. I'm like, that doesn't make any sense at all. Finally, I slowed down. I kind of read it backwards and forward and said, children of men. Like, okay, what does children of men mean? Does that still mean young child? No, it just means likeness of a man. So the first angel was very glorious in his appearance. This angel just looks like you and me. So now he's talking to someone who looks more like we do, rather than a glorious being. And this time the angel touches Daniel's lips. Have we seen angels touch people's lips before? Or touch something to people's lips? How about Isaiah 6? Isaiah's in the throne room, and woe to me, I am a man of unclean lips among a people of unclean lips. And then the angel touches his lips with a coal and empowers him to speak for God. And we kind of see the similar thing here as well. We see the angel touch Daniel's lips and empowers him to see and speak this vision. So in Isaiah 6, he sees his own iniquities and the iniquities of his people. And when he recognizes those iniquities, he realizes he is not in a position to speak for God until he's been cleansed by the angel touching his lips. And Daniel, with this similar revelation, I think, the humility that comes with, I'm in the presence of holy, realizes that I'm not the person to do this. I'm a man just like every other man. And the angel touching his lips represents God giving him the authority and the power to see and speak the visions and receive the vision he's about to get. Okay, finally, the angel touches him again, and he's strengthened again. Verses 20 and 21. Then he said, do you know why I have come to you? But now I will return to fight against the prince of Persia. And when I go out, behold, the prince of Greece will come. But I will tell you what is inscribed in the book of truth. There is none who contends by my side against these, except for Michael, your prince. Okay, so now he's been touched the third time, and now he's been given the strength to receive this message that he's going to get. We're not told what that message is in this chapter. We're told more about the message in the next chapter. Really bad break in our Bible here. Fortunately, Daniel didn't say, okay, chapter 10, chapter 11. That was man doing that, and it's just an unfortunate place where we broke the chapters apart. But you see some things happening in these last couple of verses that I think are important to see. First, you see Persia is going to be around for a while. This angel is going to go back, and he's going to deal with the prince of Persia now for a while. It could be he's going to deal with Cyrus and the kings of Persia, or maybe a spiritual being that is controlling what's happening in Persia and kind of controlling that empire. But we see that this angel is going to go fight those battles for a while. And after that, he said, next, the Prince of Greece is going to come. So similar to what's going to happen in the Persian Empire with the battles happening there, we're going to have another spiritual battle with Michael and the Grecian Empire coming after that. The Greeks came in a couple hundred years after this happened and took over took over the world. So you see from right there that God is in control. God's telling Daniel immediately, Persians are in control now, the Greeks will be in control later. At this point, Greece really isn't the thing yet. It's a smaller nation still. The Medes and Persians had gone out and decimated Greece prior to the Greeks conquering the world, possibly even caused some of the grief that the Greeks caused the Medes and Persians just for revenge of what they had done to Greece. But you see that Daniel is being told right here that there are battles being waged, and those battles are not just physical battles, they're spiritual battles. And those battles are being fought by angels. So the next chapter, we're going to deal with the Greek Empire and lots of the wars that happened in that empire. Of course, as we know from history, when Alexander conquered the world, he united everything under one kingdom. When he died without a successor. His kingdom was split into 4 different kingdoms. Well, his successor was not born yet. He was born a few months after Alexander died. And before he could become king, one of the generals had him killed, leaving the kingdom permanently divided into 4. And those 4, 2 of them are going to be battling in the next chapter. And so we'll see that pretty heavily going forward. Okay, we actually have some time for some questions today. I think this is the first time we've done that. So let's go to question 1. Daniel mourned and fasted for 3 full weeks while seeking understanding. What does this show about his heart and his commitment to God? What do you think?
Well, it takes a lot of willpower and discipline to do that, so you have to be dedicated. Or is it because it's probably, he said he didn't have any strength, and that's probably part of the reason why. Because it's both emotionally and physically difficult to not eat anything for weeks.
Yeah, very dedicated, and not having any real nourishment for that length of time certainly would have played into his weakness. I also, when I thought about this also, just given that it went over Passover, that took a lot of dedication there as well, to see Passover and recognize Passover is happening now. I'm going to break my fast and celebrate Passover with the rest of the nation. But yet it doesn't say that he did that. It said he fasted for 3 weeks, which went right over the top of Passover.
What I find interesting here too is that when you look at him, Daniel is, for lack of a better term, so in tune with God and his people. And he's seeing the digression of the people, and the people are coming back. And this is upsetting him so much. We know that he did pray 3 times a day.
Yeah, he is very in tune with God's heart. He's aligned with God in that way, very, very directly. And yeah, what's mourning God is mourning him as well. Okay, how about we go to question 2? So Daniel saw a glorious heavenly being whose appearance was overwhelming. How does this description compare to other visions of heavenly beings in Scripture?
Aren't they kind of unique in and of themselves?
2 of them are.
Yeah.
This one and Revelation are very similar. Revelation, we know it's Jesus because he says it's Jesus. I am the beginning and the end, Alpha and the Omega. This one, the being doesn't say who he is. Could it have been Jesus? Possibly. Is it possible that it wasn't Jesus? Also possible. We know that angels take different forms. Look at the angel that appeared to Ezekiel. I don't know that I could even imagine what that angel looked like. Just, wheels of eyes. And how do you even make that, right? I don't think I could make an image of that angel with the wheel this way and the wheel this way, and it moves in any direction, and it's got eyes all around it. I couldn't even fathom I don't think I could draw that if I tried. I think if you had ChatGPT try to draw it, it would just say, huh? People have tried many times, and you get very different images of it. But the point is, angels are not, they're not like us. We have a physical body, we have a physical form. I can look at Eddie, and I know what Eddie looks like every time, right? Eddie, you're not going to look like Mike, are you? But angels don't have a physical form. They can take any form that God tells them to take at that particular moment, or no form at all. And the vision that he saw was one of something very glorious and an amazing vision. I think I would have loved to have seen it, and I'm glad I didn't see it. Because if I saw something like that, I probably would have been out as well. That's a very, very powerful vision to see. Okay, how about question 3? The angel told Daniel that his prayer was heard from the very first day, but he was delayed for 21 days due to a spiritual opposition. What does this reveal about the reality of spiritual warfare? Is there a spiritual war going on?
According to Paul, there is.
According to Paul, there is. According to this, there is. We think about what we can see physically, but there is much more going on in this world and in this existence and creation than what we can see in our physical bodies. We see this war going on in Daniel's time. Paul talks about a physical or spiritual war. Paul talks about a spiritual war. There are things going on in the spiritual realm that we do not understand. And what we do know that has been revealed to us is there are battles being fought for us in the spiritual realm. There are battles being fought between forces of good and the forces of darkness, essentially, for our souls and for control. Revelation 21, I believe it's 21, talks about the final battle between Satan and God. It's a big battle. It's one verse or maybe 2 verses. And God took them and locked them up and threw away the key, is basically what it says. The forces of God will prevail in the end. And we need to remember that God always wins. And no matter how much those battles occur and how many of those battles are fought, and maybe even how many of those battles we might personally lose, who's going to win in the end? God is going to win in the end. Moses' body. I don't believe that's in the Bible, but I believe it might be in the book of Enoch. It's in one of the apocryphal books. But there was also a battle for Moses' body. So we see these battles of spiritual natures happening throughout the scripture. All right, we are at time. Are there any other comments, questions? Nobody? Dave, can you lead us in a closing prayer? Sure. Thanks.